Welcome to ePathshala Computer Science lecture series. The subject is software quality management. This session we are going to see about software metrics for quality. The learning objectives are: we introduce the software metrics, explain the metrics used for process and product, difference between reviews and standards, and object oriented metrics. First, we are measuring everywhere. When you go to physics lab, you are taking readings. When you go to shoe, if you want to purchase a shoe, the shoe store person is measuring the size of your leg. Based on that, you are purchasing the shoe. So measurement is common to all the activities. When you go to the doctor, he measures the temperature and so on, blood pressure, etc. So measurement is common to software engineering also. In software engineering, quality is based on whether you are measuring and correctly developing the software. One metric is function point. With the function point, whether a program can be divided into 2 programs and 3 programs, 3 sub-programs, it is decided. Similarly, there is a metric called cyclometric complexity. If the cyclometric complexity is less than or equal to 10, your software is a good software. You need not break into modules. If it is greater than 10, it is difficult to modify, difficult to understand, and difficult to maintain. Such a software should be broken into 2 or more pieces so that the functions are less easy to maintain and less complex. For checking further, you measure the quality again. After measuring the quality, if they are coming within complexity of 10, then you can proceed. Otherwise, you reduce the software again by breaking the software into 2 or more modules up to the time you get the complexity less than 10. Like this, metrics help the software developer to check whether the developed software is good or bad. Some metrics are understandability, safety, security, reliability, resilience, robustness, understandability, testability, adaptability, modularity, complexity, portability, usability, reusability, efficiency, and learnability. Portability means you must be able to transport from one system to another system. For example, you are working on Windows operating system. You developed the system in Windows. You want to transport to a system which is working on Linux or Unix. There, the language, C language, let us say, the Windows or C language provides a number of graphical user functions that are not available in the Unix. But in Unix, separate functions are available. Equivalent functions you have to take and put them so that the modified software will be suiting the Unix. So portability requires that without changing much, it should work in any operating system, any hardware, any software. Like that software you have to develop. That is why portability is important. Similarly, it must be usable. For example, DBMS, you can give queries and use it. You can click mouse and select items and use it. You can use forms. So forms, menus, like that user interface you can provide, or you can ask the people to write program. You can ask the people to write queries. The most difficult thing is writing programs and queries. Usability means anybody must be able to use it very easily. Reusable means the code developed for one application must be usable in some other application. For example, you are writing a code to find the factorial of a number. This factorial of a number should be used in the computation of NPR and NCR. Similarly, you are writing an algorithm to find the prime number between 1 and 1000 or 1 and some number. This prime number algorithm must be used in the security algorithm. For example, in RSA algorithm, you are using the prime number algorithm. You have to choose a prime number, two large prime numbers. The large prime numbers can be checked using the prime number algorithm. In this way, reusability is also important. Efficiency, it must be able to finish the task in a faster way. There are some programs in mechanical engineering applications and civil engineering applications for stress analysis. It will be running for hours together, sometimes days together. Such a complex procedure must be rewritten in such a way that with parallel algorithms and faster algorithms, you must be able to finish the job very fast. Their efficiency is increased. And learnability, if somebody is interested in using your software, they must be able to read your software and understand by themselves how it can increase the learnability. You can give variable names suitably. For example, you are writing a program to find the compound interest or simple interest. You can write the formula simple interest equal to PNR by 100 or I equal to PNR by 100. It is one formula. Instead of writing I, you can write simple interest. Instead of writing P, you can write principal. Principal, number of years, rate of interest, like that if you write, people will be knowing the meaning of P. You may be using the same P for pressure as well as principal. In one formula, PV equal to RT you are writing. P stands for pressure, V stands for volume, and T for temperature, R is a constant, like that you may be using. In some other application, the same P you are using for principal. The user will not understand. Therefore, you have to give suitable, meaningful variable names. Not only variable names, function name, program name, you have to give documentation also. You have to do documentation, you have to do indentation. If you write very clearly, then people will be able to learn it easily. And learning will be easy if you use simple structure. If you are using very compound structure and complexity is very high, then people will not be able to understand. You have to make modular programming. It should be adapting to changes. It must be testable easily, and people must be able to understand. All these things are quality attributes. Now, metrics are software measurement is concerned with deriving a numeric value for an attribute of a software product or process. How will you measure? You can say good software, bad software. If somebody is academically good, how will you define that academically good? In some institute, academically good means 100 mark. In some other institute, academically good means 90% mark. In some other place, it may be 80% mark. So, that good is used for 80% mark in one place, 90% mark in one place, 100% mark in another place. Instead of using good, you can say the mark is 80, or you can do a grading. The grading can be A grade, B grade, C grade, like that you can give grade. But normally, grade also is ambiguous only. If you take comparative grading system, S grade is given to 91 to 100 in some institute, 95 to 100 in some other institute, only for 100 in some institute. By seeing the S grade or the topmost grade, people will think that somebody scored 100, but it is not always 100, the highest grade. Therefore, a student who is getting a first mark may be given the highest grade. That does not reflect that he is getting the 100% mark. So, good should be transferred into numerical format. Software measurement also, you should not say that good software, robust software, quality software and all. You have to say its complexity is this number, function point is this number, like that you have to say in numbers. This allows for objective comparison between the techniques used by somebody and some other person. If somebody A is using one process model and B is using some other process model, for example, I am using waterfall model, my friend is using prototype model, and somebody else is using a spiral model. We have to compare the product made by these three models. You can measure the quality in terms of some metric. For example, reliability. Reliability means mean time between failure. It failed in how many years, and how many functions failed, what is the frequency of failure. All that things can be understood if you have a measurement formula. Although some companies have introduced measurement programs most organizations still don't make systematic use of software measurement. Many people say that my software is robust, my software is excellent, but they don't define what is meant by excellent. So, there are few established standards in this area. We have to have common metrics. That metrics help us to quantify the process. Different types of metrics are available for process metrics, project metrics, product metrics, like that different type of metrics are there. By applying metrics, we can measure. Once you measure, if something is going wrong, you can control them. So, control is based on the attributes which you are using for measuring. Product metrics can be used for general predictions or to identify anomalous components. You can see the past data, current data. Using the past data and current data, you can do the prediction. For example, in a bank, the software developed by you is used. It was working perfectly yesterday, it is working perfectly today. You can expect that tomorrow also it will work perfectly. Yesterday it was failing 5 times, today it failed 10 times, tomorrow you can expect that it may fail more times. Therefore, before using the software as it is, you have to make modifications. So, predictions can be done by using metrics. Next, these errors are coming due to anomalous components. All components are uniformly working. One new component is added. Because of the newly added component, the entire software which was running perfectly for the last few days is under failure. You have to find the anomalous component and eliminate that anomaly. We will define what is meant by measurement and what is meant by metric. Measurement, it measures quantitative indication of extent, amount, dimension, capability or size of some attribute or attribute of a product or process. For example, the number of errors in a software or number of failures by a software. Metric means quantitative measure of degree to which a system, component or process possesses a given attribute. For example, how many errors are debugged by a person, how many errors are corrected by a person. These are all measurements. Why we have to measure software? When you measure the software, you can measure the quality. Once you measure the quality, you can improve the quality. Therefore, metrics and measurements are both important, and when you improve the metrics with the measurements, then the quality of the current process as well as the product can be improved. Next, if you don't measure, the cost will increase. If the cost is increasing, your budget will be expanding. Instead of 10 lakh budget, you may be going for 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs and so on. Next, schedule. You want to finish a project in 6 months, but you don't measure how much modules are over. For example, total 100 modules, you want to finish in 6 months. At the end of 3 months, at least 50 models you should have completed. If 50 models are not completed, then you have to rush up. You have to add more people. Adding more people is not sufficient to do a good development. You have to train them. You have to ask the people to work for more time. You have to do reviews periodically, and you have to follow a better methodology and so on. Evaluate the productivity impacts of new tools and techniques. Establish productivity trends over time, and they will improve software quality. You can forecast future staffing needs. Staffing is very important in software quality. Suppose more people means quality will come down. Less people also, quality will come down. You can think of a normal distribution curve. When you add people, the quality will be going on increasing up to some level. After a level, if you add more people, the quality will come down like a bell-shaped curve. The reason is, if a project needs 3 people, if you put 2 people, it will be going slowly. If you put 3 people, it will be going correctly. When you put 4 people, then one person will take leave, or one person will think that some other person will do it. As a result of that, there will not be continuity. When the continuity is lost, then the product quality will be also lost. Therefore, schedule will be delayed. You have to put correct stopping, you have to reduce the maintenance cost. How will you reduce the maintenance cost is, you have to test them properly, do not give it as it is. Develop a software, test yourself, develop suitable test cases, how much possible testing you can do, all the testing you do. After doing thorough testing, give it to your friends. The friends will do a set of testing. If it is satisfied, suppose your friends are satisfied with your software, then give it to the friendly customer. If the friendly customers are satisfied, then give to the original customer. Like that, you can improve the quality. For improving the quality, you can take the metrics like defect rate, error rate, and measured by individuals how many errors are coming, in every module how many errors are coming, how many were coming during development, how many were coming during analysis, during design, during coding, during testing, during deployment, during production. Like that, in each and every time how much of errors are coming, you have to find it. Then finding the error is not sufficient, you have to find the origin. Suppose you are getting a division by 0 error, the division by 0 error may be coming due to the poor input in the divisor denominator. The denominator is not responsible for the alone is not responsible for the division by 0 in many cases. The computation of the denominator involves a formula that uses a number of variables. That variables were computed by other function. In that function there is a mistake, means this mistake is propagated to many other functions. As a result of that, you are getting the error. You have to find the origin from where this error is propagated, and from the origin you have to make corrections. Once you make correction in the origin, then the error will be eliminated very easily. And what type of error is coming, whether it is due to arithmetic operations, or it is due to the data type error, or data structure error, or algorithm error, or typing error, what type of error is coming, you have to find it. Finally, you have to reduce the cost. How will you reduce the cost is, you have to put correct number of people, correct number of resources, correct number of working hours, correct number of discussions, correct number of reviews, everything you have to keep, then errors will be reduced. Metrics can be classified into 3 groups, namely product metrics, process metrics, and the resource metrics, that is people and hardware, software, everything. In the product metrics, the deliverables, documentation, products, it includes the developed software, the document, and the byproducts. The byproducts may be in the form of flowcharts or algorithms and so on. Process, it is related to the method used for producing the software. Resources, it is including the data, hardware, software, the knowledge used to develop the project. We will see the difference between product versus process with respect to metrics. I told the difference between process and product. Process is the methodology used to develop something, and product is the outcome of the process. Process metrics are milestones and work product, engineering task, everything. Why we have to keep milestone is, suppose you are doing a project for 5 months. In the first month what you have to do, second month what you have to do, you have to fix it. If you are reaching the milestone within 1 month, whatever you want to do in first month, if you have done it, first milestone is completed. Like that, you have to keep milestones so that the entire product will be developed in time. Long term projects needs process improvement. Suppose it takes more time to apply one algorithm, you can go for a better algorithm. You can go for a parallel algorithm, so that you can finish it fast. The product metrics, it includes the conventional metrics as well as the risk. You have to identify from where the error is coming. That area you have to isolate. Other than that area, all the other areas you test separately. Then this area you take one by one. For example, you have 100 lines of code, you divide into 50 lines of code and 50 lines of code, test them separately, add them 50 at a time if it is possible. Otherwise, break the 50 also into 100 lines, 10 lines at a time, test them 10 lines at a time. If you are able to get good result within 10 lines per execution, you can proceed. Otherwise, reduce it 5 lines per execution, like that you do execution and find the errors. You adjust the workflow and the task. Finally, you have to go to your team who can control and evaluate and find your work quality, so that you are controlled correctly. The product metrics are, it is the predictor for the quality. You are developing, manufacturing some item, you are putting into the market. If it is liked by many people, your product is good. Suppose it is not sold as you expected, then it is due to some fault in the manufacturing. Therefore, you have to go for a dynamic metric. There are two types of metric. One is static metric. The static metrics are metrics which are known to everybody, which are already applied, but dynamic metrics are applicable only to your product. That time why it was not used. For example, you may be selling something which is suitable for one season and not suitable for some other season. You have to see in which season you are trying to sell it. In the same way, software where you are selling, in which season you are selling, for which type of customer you are selling, all that things you have to see, and depending upon that you can add some more metrics on your own. Mainly you have to check with reliability, understandability and maintainability. Now, the predictor and control metrics process can be, first you have to have a process. To measure the process, you apply metrics, you can have control over that, then make some management decision. If based on the decision, you can redefine the software process. Suppose the decision is to go for the product, you give the product, then do the prediction. If the prediction is okay, you can leave it. Otherwise, you can go to the management decision, like that you can do the cycle. Metrics assumptions are, people think that it is not possible to measure software. If it is a physical object, you can take a tape or you can take a scale, measure it. Software, we cannot measure using a tape. In the initial days, they were measuring using the number of lines of code. Lines of code is not a good metric now. If a program consumes 1000 lines of code and producing some output, the same output is produced by some other program which is of 50 lines of code. This 50 lines of code may be better, and running time also you have to see. If the program which is for 100 lines of code or 50 lines of code which is having less amount of running time, that should be taken. So, software properties should be measured. There is a relationship between what is measured and what you are interested, what attributes you are using. There are two types of attributes. One is internal attributes, another is external attributes. Internal attributes are more interested to you. External attributes are more interested to the customer. You have to make a balance between your interest and the customer interest. If you are satisfying the quality requirements for your organization, it may not be suitable for the customer. Similarly, you are bothering more on customer, the customer is not aware of the quality standards, then you will not be following the quality standard. You have to show to the internal organization. In the internal organization, they will have some quality attributes. Based on the quality attribute, they will check, measure and they will relate it. The measurement process may be one part of the quality control process. Just by measuring, we cannot decide it. You have to do it using testing, reviewing, walkthrough, inspection, like that many things we can do to improve the quality. It may be on data. Sometimes the program may be correct, but the data is not correct. As a result of that, the program result is wrong. You have to collect correct data. Input also. Input you have to do validation. For example, you are collecting age of human beings. When you collect age of human beings, it may start from 0, assume that it allows up to 150. A input value must be between 0 to 150. If somebody is giving a input which is below 0, or somebody's age is less than 0, or somebody's age is greater than 150, then the system will not take. Such a input validation procedure must be written for data also. If you do not do data validation, if you are doing only program functionality, then data may be wrong. As a result of that, you will be getting wrong output. So, database is also important in the measurement process. Whatever we have discussed so far are procedure oriented metric. Nowadays, people have shifted from procedure oriented software to object oriented software. In the object oriented software, the main 3 components are inheritance, object identity, and fan in fan out. Therefore, you have to see the depth of inheritance. They have found that the depth of inheritance can be 7 levels: superclass, subclass, subclass, like that. If you go one superclass and 6 subclasses, a total of 7 levels are a maximum allowable method for good design. If you are going on doing multi-level beyond 7 levels, then maintenance is very difficult. Then cohesion and coupling. Cohesion means the strength of individuals. Strength of individuals are more important than dependency. You should not depend on others. Similarly, the software module also should not depend on other software modules. It must have its own strength. Then number of methods per class. In each class, you can have a maximum of 3 methods. It is good, but 3 to 7 allowed. More than 7 means it is complex software. Then overriding. Don't go for overriding always. Unless it is necessary, you should not go for overriding. So, the number of overriding operation is one object oriented metric. Now, let me come to the summary. We have seen the software metrics. Metrics are used for measuring the quality of a software. It is measuring not only the process, but also the product. Measurement is fundamental to any system for quality management. If it is a car manufacturing company, measurement is necessary. If it is hotel, measurement is necessary. Similarly, the cinema hall or wherever you go, even the road in which you are traveling, good road and bad road can be distinguished by making some measurements. Therefore, measurement is necessary for software also. It needs to be applied in all components of life cycle, not only in analysis. It should be applied in analysis, design, coding, testing, deployment. In all components of the life cycle, you have to do the measurement. It helps to avoid failures. Suppose you are testing properly, you are checking the quality now and then, it will not fail. For example, you are going for a tour. When you go for a tour, you check the tires properly, check the petrol availability properly in a car, then it will not fail. Suppose you do not fill petrol or do not fill pressure in the tire, then it will fail. Similarly, in the software also, you have to plan in advance and check the quality metrics. If you check them in advance, definitely it will not fail. The metrics applied for procedure oriented metrics, procedure oriented software cannot be applied as it is to the object oriented software. Therefore, additional metrics are proposed by many researchers, including depth of inheritance and weighted method for class for object oriented metrics. If you want to check the quality, you have to check whether it is procedure oriented software or object oriented software. Based on the type of software, you have to apply separate type of metrics, and if it satisfies the metrics, your system is a good system with good quality. Thank you.